Whether the team is performing clean or unsightly, we'll cover it all here on Washington Football Nightly. I, of course, am your host, Louie T. Thank you for joining me. Let's get to tonight's lead story. So, Curtis Samuel, never, ever trust a man with two first names. Yesterday's show started off talking about how excited we were about him returning to practice on Monday and how they were going to monitor him. I even made the comment that I had heard from the grapevine that it wasn't the groin, it was more about conditioning, and that was what they were really focusing on. So there really wasn't any issues. As long as there weren't any setbacks, which you can't really predict, he was going to be all systems go come Sunday. They were going to manage him. He was going to be on somewhat of a pitch count just to make sure they integrated him in a way that wouldn't, rush him along and maybe have something like what happened today happen. However, we still don't know the severity. So let me back up a bit. We were all excited about Curtis Samuel being back at practice. So about that, Curtis Samuel injured himself today at practice or felt something that didn't feel normal. So don't want to say he re-aggravated because we don't know that for certain. Ron did not expound upon what happened, and Ron always talks to the media and tells them, look, I didn't talk to head trainer Ryan Vermillion before I talked to you guys because I don't want to give you guys any information. So I don't have anything to give you right now. So we don't know what was done in terms of why he left practice. We saw the final route that he ran. We saw him pull up lame after the route, saw him take his helmet off, walk off the field, looks a little disappointed. He's then walking with head trainer Ryan Vermillion. He then gets stretched out. He then leaves the practice field and returns to the locker room. So we don't actually know exactly what went down. We don't know the extent of the injury. Again, I've said this on the podcast earlier that it could have been something as minor as it felt tight. And in an attempt to not re-aggravate it or exacerbate any issues with the groin potentially, he shut it down. It could be as major as he did it again. He did it again, and he re-aggravated the groin, and now who knows how long he could be potentially on the shelf. I've already thrown out the idea of placing him on IR to free up a roster spot, and that would take away the constant questions from the media and really the expectation from fans out there that want to see this guy. He's a free agent acquisition. You want to see what this guy can bring to the table. We've talked all offseason about adding speed to this team and how he was going to be a big component and another piece to the puzzle that was going to take pressure off of Terry. And we really haven't seen it. We don't know what this guy brings to the table here in Washington. We only know what he was capable of in Carolina. So we're anxious to see it. But at the same time, if he's not healthy, he's not healthy. And so I think if it is a significant tweak, re-aggravation, or some other injury, it could be non-groin related for that matter. We don't know. Could be his hammy for all we know. If it is something significant, I think you place him on IR just to let him heal up without the constant, hey, give us a Curtis Samuel update. Is he going to be able to practice this week? Instead of having to go through all of that, you put him on IR, you let him sit and you let him rest, you let him heal up because, again, this is not a sprint. It is a marathon. And having Curtis Samuel is going to be key for this team offensively moving forward. So if you can't have him for the first 3-4 weeks of the season, so be it. You rather have him for the final, 12, 13 games of the season than to have him come in, really hurt himself and need surgery and be done for the year. So they have to find a way to figure this thing out and kind of pinpoint what the best plan of action is for him to get back on the field. But it looks like we were premature. I can't speak for you. Looks like I was premature. I jumped the gun and mistakes were made. Mistakes were definitely made because I was sure that this guy was going to be ready for Sunday. And yeah, he would be on a pitch count. Yeah, they weren't going to push him a ton. He wasn't going to play a massive amount of snaps, but the few snaps that he played were going to be impactful ones. And now he's probably more likely than not going to be out this week and maybe even beyond. And I've talked about the lingering effects of a groin injury. I told you I've had a groin injury. Okay. Again, I wasn't receiving around the clock 24/7 attention to my groin. It was high school, but I can tell you that shit lingered the entire year. It did not go away. And I've said this already, with a groin injury, there's only one of two things you can do to get it better. You can either have surgery if it is that far gone and you've done enough damage to where surgery is the answer, or you need tons and tons of rest. Okay. You can't be running, stopping, cutting, jumping, planting, turning, all of that stuff and thinking the groin is going to just automatically heal itself while you continue to push and grind it. So you're either going to have surgery or you're going to rest it. But it's hard to play through an injury like a groin, especially at a position like wide receiver. So this is not good news. We've heard all of the rumblings and grumblings. I've seen it on the podcast. I've seen it on socials. I'm probably going to see it tonight. The curse of the number 10 here in Washington. And it's a thing now with people. I don't subscribe to that. And I've even heard people talk about Curtis Samuel being injury prone and how, this was a guy that, we shouldn't have signed because of his injury history. And I'm like, that's a false narrative. This is a guy that didn't miss a ton of snaps in Carolina, played in almost every game. So it's just one of those things, man. These things happen. You want guys to stay healthy, but it's a part of the game. And I can tell you this, I watched him out at practice, a couple of reps that the beat reporters that were out at the field put up on socials. He did not look good. He did not look like a guy that was healthy and ready to be out there, to be honest. He looked like a guy that was trying to push through something. He didn't look explosive. He didn't look dynamic. He looked like he was favoring and kind of hampering and lumbering around out there. So I again, I don't know, and I can't speak with 100% certainty. Tomorrow will be a big day because the media will then be able to fire away at Ron and get some answers out of Ron. I assume he won't practice tomorrow. There's no need for it. Even if you think he can play on Sunday, there's no reason for him to practice. The bottom line is, more likely than not, he's not playing this week. It's a quick turnaround. I doubt he'd play against the Giants in week number 2. Then you get a little bit of time off. Maybe that's their target date. If you put him on IR, he won't be able to play until week 4. So I don't know if they feel like they need that much time, but he's probably, if he doesn't play in week 1, more likely than not, he's not playing in week 2 either because of the quick turnaround. So if he doesn't play against the Chargers, I'm thinking he's not playing against the Chargers or the Giants for that matter. Then you turn your attention to on the road at Buffalo. And if you don't think he can be ready for that game, then you need to put him on IR. You need to free up a roster spot and allow somebody else to take that roster spot while he is on the mend. So we'll find out more tomorrow about this injury, the extent of it, and what plans they have for him moving forward. Do they think this is something that he can remain on the roster, not have to put him on IR, and just continue to monitor him and see how he feels day by day? Or is this something that they just need to give him time on, put him on IR, and revisit this in 3 weeks and see what we have then? So a lot of questions, not a ton of answers right now, but one thing's for sure, Curtis Samuel is not healthy. And this is exactly why you don't trust a guy with 2 first names. So it's unfortunate, but this is why you build depth. This is why we talked about having the most depth at receiver that we've had in quite some time. This is why you add all of the guys that can run. This is why you add a De'Ami Brown. This is why you keep a DeAndre Carter on your roster, so that you have more speed in the event that one of your guys with speed goes down. You still got Terry, who to me is the most invaluable receiver that we have. To me, you can't go on without Terry because, again, you don't have a true number one wide receiver without him. Curtis Samuel, to me, is a luxury. We can stick Cam Sims in there, have De'Ami, have Adam Humphries, and still make this thing work and be perfectly fine on offense. You take Terry out of the mix, and now you don't have a number one wide receiver. Now we get into that danger zone in that territory of now you've got a number two receiver posing as a one, a number two, a three posing as a two, a four posing as a three, so forth and so forth. Then you get into that danger zone of guys trying to be something that they're not. We don't have to worry about that. We can just say, hey, Cam, slide back in to that Z like you did last year and hold it down for us until Curtis is ready. You still got Adam Humphries in the slot. And I think you can do some things with DeAndre Carter, to be honest with you. This is part of the reason you kept him. You felt like he did some good things at receiver. You can run the jet sweeps with DeAndre Carter. You know, you can do some of the creative things you were going to do with Curtis Samuel with DeAndre Carter. He is not Curtis Samuel. Let me reiterate that, okay? He is not Curtis Samuel, but I think you can do some of the creative things with him that you were going to do with Curtis Samuel. So you don't have to necessarily throw away the entire Curtis Samuel package that you had set aside for him. But to me, now you just run offense. All of the different gadgets and gadgets that you may have had with Curtis Samuel back there, they're not in the playbook right now. We'll save those for down the road when he's healthy, if he gets healthy, because we don't know what his situation is. So it's amazing that all offseason, all camp, the talk was William Jackson and Curtis Samuel, two big free agent acquisitions. Both of them have been really banged up for much of the preseason and camp. William Jackson III is fine. Wasn't listed on the injury report, has been practicing. There's nothing to report there. There's nothing to talk about. Hopefully he stays healthy. But now the focus has shifted to Curtis Samuel. And at one point, I was dismissive about him. Oh, he'll be fine. I'm not worried. If they're not worried, I'm not worried. And now here we are approaching week one. And more likely than not, we will not have him available for the Chargers. So we'll see what happens with that situation. That will be definitely something we will turn our attention to tomorrow, is that will be probably the biggest piece of news that we'll be rating on post-practice from head coach Ron Rivera. So let's switch gears and move into in other news. And we had a number of different things happen today. One, the team captains were named for the upcoming season. Remember, this was a big deal last year. We were so excited for Dwayne Haskins as he was named a team captain. How'd that work out for us? I don't see anybody on the list of captains this year having their captaincy snatched from them at some point this season. I think the 8 guys that were given the honor of being named captains will remain that way this season. We had 4 holdovers from last season. Those holdovers were Chase Young, Terry McLaurin, Brandon Sheriff, and DeShazer Everett. Those were the 4 team captains from last season. Now we have 4 new captains joining that mix, and we'll take a look at them here in a second. Also, Ron Rivera stepped up to the mic. We'll talk about what he had to say. We'll talk about Ryan Fitzpatrick, who also stepped up to the podium today, talk about some of the things he talked about heading into week one versus the Chargers. And we'll also take a look, our first look at the injury report. You know, they get released on Wednesday, and we start to track them here on the Washington Football Nightly program. So we got our first injury report for the upcoming game versus the Chargers. We will take a look at that as well and talk about things on our end and as well as the Chargers. So let's first take a closer look at the captains that were named today. As you see in front of you, you have the 8 captains. As I talked about, 4 captains were holdovers from last year. Chase Young was named a captain last season. So was Terry McLaurin late in the season. McLaurin took the place of Dwayne Haskins late in the season. Brandon Sheriff continues to be a captain on this team. And DeShazer Everett was a captain last year. Remember, I was surprised. A lot of you were not. I was surprised by DeShazer Everett being a captain last year. He remains a captain this year. Joining those guys with the C on their chest this year, Jonathan Allen, Ryan Fitzpatrick, John Bostic, and Logan Thomas. So 8 captains in all. And this is a really good group of guys. 4 on the offensive side, 4 on the defensive side for Washington. And when you look at this group, it's a really good mixture of veterans and young guys leading the way. And you like to think that a lot of these guys are going to be here for the long haul. Chase Young, Jonathan Allen, who just signed an extension to be here. Terry McLaurin, there's no way they're going to let him out of the building. Brandon Sheriff, I'm going to tell you guys this right now. Ron Rivera, at his post-practice presser on, I believe it was Monday, talked about guys that they want here long-term. And he talked about Jonathan Allen, and then he talked about Brandon Sheriff. It might have been after practice today at the presser. It could have been today. I could be mixing my days up. But I'm just going to tell you guys that they really want Brandon Sheriff back. And I had already reconciled in my brain that this was his last year in Washington. I might be wrong about that. Stay tuned. Anyway, Logan Thomas just signed an extension to stay here, so he'll be a part of the future. So, and DeShazer Everett is another guy. I think this is his last year of his deal, but that's another guy that I think they really like, especially with his contribution on special teams that could continue to be here as well. So you could, of these 8 guys, long-term, you could be looking at 5 of them being on this roster for many years to come. There's definitely, 4 of these guys that are going to be here for the immediate future, and Logan Thomas, Chase Young, Jonathan Allen, and Terry McLaurin. So it's a nice, like I said, mixture of veterans and young guys. And I like the captains that they've selected. This is a really good team, really good group of guys. And I think this is a great group to lead this team in the 2021 season. Let's take a closer look at the injury report for this football game as we shift to the upcoming contest versus the Los Angeles Chargers. I told you I wanted to see this injury report for Washington be squeaky clean, and that's pretty much what we got. Now, again, I knew Curtis Samuel was going to be on this. Whether he practiced or not, he was going to be on this injury report. So I wasn't counting him. Everything else needed to be clean. I didn't need to see another name on this injury report, and I hope it stays that way the remainder of the week. So we're in good shape right now, as Curtis Samuel with the groin did not practice. Essentially, he went out on the field, ran a couple of routes, and then pulled up and said, I can't go. So he was listed as DNP today. And again, I don't expect him to play. Honestly, I wouldn't be shocked if the next injury report we take a look at tomorrow lists him as out for Sunday's game. It doesn't do them any good to announce that he's out, because they don't need to give the Chargers any competitive advantage, but the Chargers know what's up. They know this guy hasn't practiced pretty much all offseason and hasn't played in the preseason game, and he's dealing with the groin injury. They know that he's more likely than not going to be out, but they can play that close to the vest and not make that decision until, really up till game time, but more likely than not, we'll know by probably tomorrow or Friday that his status for the game, and I think he's going to be out. But we'll see. Again, could have been made very minor situation where he just felt it being tight. Nothing actually happened. It just didn't feel right, and he just needed to shut it down. And he could feel perfectly fine tomorrow and be back out there tomorrow for all we know. More likely than not, as I mentioned, that's probably not going to be the case. As you look to the Chargers, they've got quite a few names for the first week. for a team that didn't play any of their starters pretty much any of the preseason. It's actually really surprising that they've got this many guys up there. That said, for the most part, no real surprises here other than the fact that Austin Eckler didn't practice. I didn't know there was an injury there with him. I just recently watched Brandon Staley, their head coach, mic'd up, and Austin Eckler was out there practicing. Now, that mic'd up session was from a month ago. So obviously there was plenty of time for him to strain his hamstring and not really be ready for the game. Now, when was this done? You know, he could have done this a week and a half ago, and he could be ready to go by Sunday. He could practice tomorrow on a limited basis and then be a full participant Friday and be ready to go Sunday. If he just strained this last week, then more than likely he's going to be out for this game. I think tomorrow is a really telling day. We see this all the time. I talk about this every week when we take a look at the injury report. Wednesday isn't a great day to really monitor whether players are going to play or not. That's the day. If you're going to rest guys, that's the install day. That's the day that they're not going to practice. They just need to mentally be focused, as that's the install day. If you're going to rest a guy, Wednesday is the day to do it. Thursday is the day they really need to come out and work and really start to get reps. You need to see them on at least a limited basis on Thursday. And then Friday, again, you want to see them be out there. It'd be great if they could go full. But if they're limited on Friday, they got a shot. But Wednesday isn't a needle mover for me. If Austin Eckler is a DNP tomorrow, then I start to say, okay, we might have a shot at this guy not playing. And to me, he's a big part of their offense. He's a Swiss Army knife. So we are able to miss Austin Eckler. That is a massive plus for us because he's a do-it-all threat out of the backfield for the Los Angeles Chargers. So Trey Marshall has an ankle as a defensive back. Again, I don't know how big of a role he plays for them, but Austin Eckler is the one. The other two guys, Gabe Neighbors as a fullback, Brian Balaga as a tackle. Both of those guys were full participants in practice. I don't see that changing. We'll see if anything changes there, but more likely than not, I wouldn't be shocked if those guys weren't even on the injury report tomorrow. So we'll see what happens there. As we get back to in other news, Ron stepped to the podium today. A bunch of guys. You had Ryan Fitzpatrick, you had Antonio Gibson, you had Terry McLaurin, all stepped to the podium. Had a chance to listen to every single one of those guys speak. In particular, Ron was very candid about, and he's been that way about Curtis Samuel, simply saying, look, if he plays, he plays. If he doesn't, he doesn't. Like, we're good either way. We're fine. This is why you build the depth that we've built this offseason. I made a joke a bunch of times over the offseason that the receiver position was so bad last year, they didn't feel the need to just go out and get one or two receivers. They thought that they needed to go get 4 brand new receivers. They drafted 2 in De'Ami Brown and Dax Milne, and they added Curtis Samuel and Adam Humphries. We were so bad last year, they felt like they needed 4 new receivers. Well, you can make that number 5 as they added DeAndre Carter to the mix as well. The only 2 holdovers from last year's team are Cam Sims and Terry McLaurin. So they went out and revamped the entire wide receiver position, and they added speed, with a number of different guys. And this is exactly why you do that. Now, you know what? I was thinking to myself, not only did DeAndre Carter serve as a return man for both punt and kickoffs this year, making this roster, but I think they also realized that there was a chance that Curtis Samuel could be out, early in the season. And he was an insurance policy in the event that he was out, because honestly, Dax Milne couldn't handle the punt return duties, and Jarrett Patterson could handle the kickoff return duties. They don't need DeAndre Carter to do that necessarily. They didn't have to hold a roster spot for him just to do that. I think they really thought about the fact that Curtis Samuel could be out, and DeAndre Carter is the next closest thing they have to a Curtis Samuel type player on the roster, and he could fill that void for them in the event that Curtis Samuel was going to be out. So I think there may be a little bit more to the DeAndre Carter role than just punt returner and kickoff return man. So we'll see what happens. Ron pretty much said he feels good about, and what else is he supposed to say? Like, oh my God, we can't make it without Curtis Samuel. We went and got him because we need him. And if we don't have him, we don't have a chance. Like, no, what is he going to say? No, I feel good about my team. I feel good about the roster. I feel good about the guys getting reps in camp and in the preseason when he wasn't able to play. So we feel good about our situation. He also talked about the Chargers and the depth that they have and the offensive weaponry, and they are a really talented offense. And he's like, it all starts with their quarterback. You could tell he wants a quarterback of his own. Every time he talks about the Chargers, the statement either starts or ends or both with Justin Herbert. So I think he understands we need a quarterback here, and he keeps praising Justin Herbert. So and for rightfully so, the guy's amazing. Ryan Fitzpatrick even spoke about how well he played last year and how big he is. He said he met him at a golf tournament and that the kid is huge, which he is. Justin Herbert is like 6'6", man. I mean, he's 6'6", like 230, 235. He's a big dude. So we got to bring our hard hat, this weekend because he's not an easy guy to get down on the ground either. And he's an athlete as well. So, Ron talked about Rashawn Slater versus Chase Young. A lot is being made of that, round 3 of this matchup. And, I think Chase is hearing this. He's got to be hearing all of this. And I know he was tired of hearing about it during the draft process this past year with Rashawn Slater. And I talked about, it's got to really – that's when you're that guy. When you can essentially build a guy's rep and help him become a first-round draft pick based off of the fact that he was able to block you 2 years ago. And that's essentially what Chase did for Rashawn Slater. Everybody wanted to go back to that Ohio State game from 2019 and say, hey, look what he did to Chase Young. And that's what got him drafted in the first round, essentially. And he's had to hear about it, for the last 2 years, and had to hear about it a ton when Rashawn Slater was going through the process this year to get drafted by the Chargers. And now he's got to hear about it again leading up to the game. Ron, quickly glossed over the fact that, they're two competitors. And he pretty much gave a quick scouting report on Rashawn Slater. Obviously, we were in the market for an offensive tackle, so they did their homework on Rashawn Slater. He gave a pretty generic, standard, hey, this guy's got quick feet. He's a good athlete, this, that, and the third. And then he just moved on like, okay, you're not going to have me talking about another team's guy. So I think Chase has to have a little extra incentive to try to beat Rashawn Slater this week because there's been a lot made of the fact that Slater was able to get the best of him while he was at Northwestern and Young was at Ohio State. So Ron, touched on that briefly. He talked about, this team and, needing to get off to a fast start. Ron talks about breaking down the season in quarters, and this year it's a little different. You got 17 games. So he's like, 4 quarters plus 1 essentially. And, you want to get off to a fast start. And I've talked about wanting to get off to a fast start, and it begins in week 1. And he said the bye week actually helps because now they were able to prep for not only the Chargers, but start to get some work in on the Giants. It's a quick turnaround. Literally, you play on Sunday, you get a day off, and then you get, 3 practice days, essentially. Really, you don't get any days off. You get 3 practice days, and then you got to turn around and you got to play on Thursday night against the Giants. So they're putting in all the work on the Chargers, but they're also keeping a side eye on the Giants and starting to prep for them as well. And they've been able to do a little bit of both. So this week off really gave them an opportunity to start to do that. So he talked about that as well. Ryan Fitzpatrick pretty much talked about this offense and getting into a rhythm with the players that are on the field. Like, look, we can't do anything about Curtis Samuel. When he is healthy, he is going to add a different dynamic to this offense. But, with the guys that we have, we're going to be just fine. And then he complimented Cam Sims, was like, hey, I called up Alex Smith and said, this guy's pretty awesome, man. I didn't know anything about him. And Alex Smith pretty much told him the same thing. Like, yeah, he's pretty awesome. And he's like, yeah, I mean, this is a guy that I can throw the football up to. I really like Cam Sims. So I think we're going to be just fine. I'm not overly concerned about the injury. You want to see Curtis Samuel get out there, but he's not ready. And I want him healthy when he gets out there. I don't want Curtis Samuel at 75 or 80%. I want to see this guy at 100% doing the things that he's capable of doing on a football field. So I think Cam Sims, someone asked me earlier, what do I think is going to take place, in terms of Dyami Brown getting more snaps? Is he going to start this, that, and the third? And I think Ryan Fitzpatrick's presser, kind of furthers my thoughts, which are Dyami Brown isn't going to start in place of Curtis Samuel. When you look at the depth chart, it's Terry McLaurin being backed up by Dyami Brown at the X. That's not to say that Dyami Brown can't play Z. We've seen him do that in the preseason. We saw him do that in preseason game number 2 versus Cincinnati when he started opposite of Terry. But I think, and I could be wrong here, I think they're going to insert Cam Sims at the Z opposite of Terry. You're going to have Adam Humphries in the slot, and you're going to see Dyami working his way in, after that. It could easily be Terry on one side at the X and Dyami at the Z to start the game off. And I could be totally wrong about that, but we'll see. At the end of the day, much like I said about the safety position, they're both going to play, Dyami and Cam Sims, a ton. Whether one starts or the other starts, it's really of no consequence. They're both going to play a ton of snaps. So looking forward to seeing what they decide to do and how they decide to handle that with no Curtis Samuel. And I also want to reiterate this. I don't want to then put undue pressure on Dyami Brown because Curtis Samuel is now out. I want to see what he's capable of, obviously, but the reason we built up this much depth is so you didn't have to push Dyami out there and say, hey, we need it. I need 927 yards receiving from you because Curtis Samuel's hurt. That's not why we drafted him. We drafted him to be a deep threat, to come along, to learn, and to when plays are there to be made and his number is called and opportunities are there for him to take advantage of them. But by no means am I looking to put a ton of pressure on him like we did AGG last year. And obviously AGG wasn't able to stay healthy, 1, and 2, wasn't able to come in and live up to those expectations. I just want this young fella to come out here and be able to play ball and not have a ton of expectations being plopped on his shoulders. We got a bunch of receivers, but a bunch of guys we like. Got Logan Thomas, got J.D. McKissick in the backfield along with Antonio Gibson. We got a bunch of guys to spread the football around to. I just want him to be another guy that we can get the rock to, not a guy that we are counting on like Terry. We are counting on Terry McLaurin. We need his production. That is not optional. If we do not get it, we have a problem. I don't want that to be the case for Dyami Brown. I want his production to be optional. If we get it, it's a plus, it's a bonus. If we don't, we're cool either way. So I hope it stays that way. Anyhow, some good, interesting tidbits. Listening to Antonio Gibson, he talked about rushing the football this year, being a more complete back, learning from some of the other guys like Lamar Miller last year, J.D. McKissick, and he, talked about Peyton Barber, learning from him as well. Talked about being a little bit more physical as a runner, running people over. Like, I don't want to run guys over on every play. That's not my mentality, but I have to. I'm a big dude. I'm 6 feet, 230. I should be able to run guys over. So I need to be a little bit more physical. And he talked about that, and he expounded upon that by saying, I got to be able to pick it up in short yardage. I got to be able to drive my feet. I got to be able to find a way to get it done even when it's not there. And that's what Peyton Barber did for us last year. And so he acknowledged that I got to be better at that, and I got to hit it hard. I got to be decisive, and I got to hit it hard. So hopefully he'll be able to pick up the slack there on those short yardage situations, because he's going to be the guy that we call on. And we need him to be able to deliver for us in short yardage situations, among other, situations too. He may be a guy that they try to get it to in the passing game a little bit more this year as well. So he's looking for an expanded role, thinks that he's got a chance to be really good. Nikki Javala tried to box him in on his toe. And he said, she asked him, well, I read somewhere that you said you had a minor procedure on your toe. And he's like, I don't recall saying that to anybody. The toe is fine. I'm good. I'm ready to go. Like, I love it. Don't let these reporters put you in a bind. You know what I mean? You control the narrative as the player, not the other way around. So he said he's ready to go. And he said, unlike last year where he was super nervous, because he was making a positional switch. It was his first year in the NFL. He didn't know what to expect. He's like, this year, I'm ready to go, man. I'm ready to hit the ground running. I feel confident in what I can bring to the table. And I think that this is going to be a big year for me, this offense. And I think we're going to do some big things. So it was good to hear from him in that capacity as well. And then Terry's Terry, Terry, the thing I love about Terry is he's very thoughtful with every answer that he has. He'll give you a 3 to 4 minute answer on just about every question. So his pressers tend to run a little bit longer, but that's why he's the captain, man. In any event, let's transition to social media maneuvers where you guys get to take over the show. And a lot of comments out there getting lined up. And so we're going to start taking your comments and seeing what you guys have to say about the upcoming game. So we'll take a few comments and then we'll get out of here if there aren't any more comments. So we got a comment here from Johnny Boy 26. Thank you for the super chat, Johnny Boy 26. Greatly appreciate you. Johnny Boy 26 writes, people are overreacting about the Jimmy Moreland cut. Darryl Roberts gives us more size and speed at cornerback. I haven't really heard a lot of people outraged by Jimmy Moreland getting cut. That was a last Tuesday thing. When it first happened, it was surprising, caught a lot of people off guard. Didn't really know that Jimmy was, potentially on the chopping block. But since then, I really haven't heard many fans complaining about Jimmy Moreland no longer being here. Now, maybe I'm not talking to enough fans, or maybe I'm not in those, different discussions. But I don't think anybody's really, again, I haven't spoken to many people that were that, moved by Jimmy Moreland, necessarily after, I think maybe the second day of, after cuts, after that 48-hour period and everybody cleared waivers and then they put together the practice squad. I really didn't hear too many people complaining about Jimmy Moreland getting cut. Initially people were going crazy. Troy Apke making the roster, which I tried to tell as many people as possible and tried to warm you guys up to the idea of him making the football team. I told you he was going to make the team. Ron essentially told us without telling us. Like, Ron tried to explain to everyone, look, this dude isn't just a corner. He's not just a safety. He's not just a DB. He's one of the best special teams players in the league. Like, teams have to game plan to block and stop Troy Apke. We're not getting rid of him, essentially. Ron was trying to, warn everyone over, the span of about 2 or 3 weeks. I'd been telling everybody probably since early to mid-August that I don't think Troy Apke's going anywhere, guys. You're hearing all the coaching staff members talk about his improvement at the cornerback position, and you saw what he was able to do in the preseason games. He wasn't terrible, and you know what he is on special teams. I said he's not going anywhere. So I think people were more upset about Apke than they were Jimmy Moreland. And, you had some people saying, well, Jimmy Moreland would still be here if Troy Apke wasn't. I mean, you could look at it that way, but honestly, Darryl Roberts, and like you said in the comment, Darryl Roberts was the one that took his place, not Troy Apke. So, Ron said after the Ravens game, and I was dismissing Ron. It was such a bad performance. I didn't think there was a lot that could be taken from it. But Ron said after the game, 6 positions have been affected by this game. 6 guys made a move to solidify a roster spot or not solidify a roster spot. And we saw that play out. You know, we saw that play out. We saw Ricky Seals-Jones. We saw Shaka Tony get a spot. And I told you guys after that game, I said it wasn't a lot of takeaways, but Shaka Tony was the most impressive guy defensively for me in the game. And Ron talked about Shaka Tony forcing what he thought was a fumble, and he said he probably made a mistake in not challenging it. I thought in real time, I thought it was a fumble. I at least wanted to take another look at it, but we're getting drubbed. It's the preseason. You just want the game to be over. So I talked about Shaka Tony having some juice off the edge. Ron acknowledged it as well. You know, and Darryl Roberts was really good in that game, you know, and Ron, they noticed. So I haven't heard a lot of people upset about Jimmy Moreland, but the people that are, at the end of the day, Jimmy was released with an injury settlement. So he was nicked a bit, but not enough to release. I think the bottom line is, I've told you guys this before. I've said this. I'm not overly impressed with Jimmy, especially Jimmy on the outside. I said Jimmy's solid, but Jimmy doesn't move the needle for me. I'm not a big Jimmy Moreland fan anymore. So I wasn't blown away by Jimmy. And I even made the comment. I'm talking OTAs. I made the comment early on, like, hey, Jimmy might not be safe. And then a lot of y'all told me I was crazy, and I started to believe y'all. I was like, y'all probably right. I am tripping. Jimmy ain't going nowhere. So I came off of that pretty quickly. It turned out that Jimmy wasn't safe, and he ultimately did get the axe. So Darryl Roberts not only gives us a little bit more size, he also gives us more positional flex. You know, he's a 6-foot corner, essentially, that can play inside or out. Whereas Jimmy, they just view Jimmy more as a nickel. It's a guy inside. So I think that's something that they really looked at. And Darryl Roberts, they felt good about him. And remember, it's a different group of guys. Jimmy Moreland wasn't a Ron guy. And to take it a step further, Jimmy Moreland wasn't a Martin Mayhew guy. And I think that's even more important because Darryl Roberts was a Martin Mayhew guy, okay? He is, I should say, a Martin Mayhew guy. So if all things are equal that are being considered and they're equally on a level playing field, I'm going to take the guy that I believe in, that I brought here, versus the guy that was here that when I got here and I inherited. So, you know, there's that as well. Thank you for the super chat, Johnny Boy. Greatly appreciate you. See if we got any more comments. Got one here from Valmont Smart. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. And thank you for being a member of the MOBB. Y'all know what it is. Stand up. We in the building. Valmont Smart writes, my guy Lou been putting out video after video, killing it, bro. And that hat is dope. Thank you so much for that. And I appreciate you guys watching video after video, liking, commenting, and helping this entire brand grow. So you guys are just as impactful as anything going on here. So I really thank you guys as well. And the hat, I've been saving this hat. You know, I've been waiting to unleash this. And I said, you know, once I get back to Washington Football Nightly, I'm gonna bust it out. I thought it was a pretty dope hat too when I copped it. So thank you. I appreciate that. Got a super chat here from Delano Miller. Thank you, Delano Miller, for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Delano writes, Hope Jack Hope Jack lines Chase up on their weakest tackle and switches with Montez. Let Sweat take some of that Slater business instead of Chase trying to prove something. They may move him around. They may not. I mean, at the end of the day, we got confidence in both of our tackles. I mean, you almost sound as if you're conceding the fact that Chase can't beat him or something. Like Chase can't beat Slater. Like he's an elite tackle right now, right out of the packaging, and he can't get got. this is year 2 Chase, not year 1 Chase. This is a healthy Chase. Who knows what's going to happen? The beauty of it is if Chase isn't winning, Tez can win on the other side. If Chase or Tez aren't winning, Matt Ioannidis can win inside, or Jonathan Allen, or Deron Payne. It doesn't have to be Chase Young. We got dogs up front, and all of them want to eat, and all of them know how to hunt. So I'm not worried about anybody. The Chargers' offensive line has been a problem for years. They went out and made a conscious effort to improve their offensive line by going out and getting some guys in free agency. So they've strengthened their offensive line. They spent free agent dollars. They also went out and spent a first-round draft pick on Rashawn Slater. So they've improved the offensive line, but it is still a work in progress. I like our chances up front against their offensive line with our dogs. I do. And all the dogs hunt. All the dogs are trying to eat. So, and I want Chase to get some of Rashawn Slater. We ain't running from any street fights. We're not running from any of the smoke. You sound like you want Chase to go on the other side and run. We ain't running from nobody. We want all the smoke. Because where there's smoke, there's fire. And we looking to light a fire under Justin Herbert's ass. So Jack's going to move guys around. He's going to be aggressive. He's going to test this Chargers offensive line, see how well they communicate. Remember, one of the biggest things that we're supposed to get this year that we didn't get last year was some exotic blitzes, some different blitz packages, because we can play man-to-man with the corners that we have now. That's why you go out and get a Benjamin St-Juste. That's why you go out and get a William Jackson III, because you think you can now play with longer corners on the outside and keep everything in front of you. We're going to see. I want to see them. You know, you don't want to blitz if you don't have to. If you can get pressure with 4, that's what you would prefer to do. Keeps 7 in the back end, keeps you safe. But sometimes you got to turn shit up. And you got to heat a quarterback up. Put his ass in the microwave. And I would like to see Jack do that this week. So we'll see what happens. Thank you for the super chat, Delano Miller. Let's see. We got anything else? Got another super chat. This one is from Metaphor. Thank you for the super chat, Metaphor. Greatly appreciate you. My guy, Metaphor, writes, and first and foremost, thank you for being a member of the MOBB. Greatly appreciate you. Who writes, yo, Lou, be sure to cash app my winnings this week. What cash app winnings? You ain't winning a damn thing, okay? You know what it is. It's a stick up. All right. You pretty much donating to me. This is what I do. I pick winners for a living. So this is all the best I can do is wish you luck. It's not going to do much because luck don't work here. Okay. Takes skill, precision, and pretty much know-how to get it done. But I wish you all the best of luck. You're going to need it. Trust me, you're going to need it. But I run the show here, man. It is what it is. But I appreciate you. I do. I really do. Thank you for the super chat, Metaphor. Got a super chat here from Trevor Patch. Thank you for the super chat. Trevor Patch, greatly appreciate you. My guy, Trevor Patch, writes, y'all be tripping for years. Cam Sims, the Giant Slayer, is an X. I'll be sitting behind Dustin, and it'll be a long season if he thinks too fast. Look, when I first laid eyes on Cam Sims, I too thought he was an X. They got him as a Z. It is what it is. I don't have a problem. He was the Z last year. I have no problems with him being out there. Okay? So if they're comfortable with him being out there, I'm comfortable with him being out there. And he made plays as a Z. Okay? So, again, no issues whatsoever with Cam Sims being a Z, and I think he's going to get the nod. If there is no Curtis Samuel this week, which I don't think there will be, I think he's getting the nod as your starting Z. I think he'll be out there getting first dibs on reps alongside Terry McLaurin early in the ball game. We're going to see a ton of De'Ami Brown. We're going to see a ton of Adam Humphries, and you may see a sprinkle of Dax Milne and or DeAndre Carter on the offensive side of the football as well. But more likely than not, I think they're going to try to keep the rotation nice and tight. I think you see a rotation. Really, they want a rotation of 5 receivers. That 5th guy would be Curtis Samuel. I think you want to see Terry, Curtis, Adam, Cam Sims, and Diami. That's the rotation of 5 that I think they really wanted to have, with DeAndre Carter and Dax Milne being there in the event of something going awry. But I think now with the Curtis Samuel injury, I think you just want to shorten that rotation to just 4 dudes. Early in the season, you get more bodies out there because you just don't have guys in game shape yet. You get to week 5, 6, 7, where you've been playing ball now, your body's in football shape. You don't need to have Dax Milne or DeAndre Carter getting out there for a few reps because Terry's not tapping out now. But in this first week, the first 2 weeks, Terry runs a go ball, doesn't get it, and that was preceded by a corner route. Terry might come to the side and be like, hey, man, y'all send in one of these boys for me, man. I'm over here gassed. So you could see a rotation where, Dax Milne and DeAndre Carter are getting some reps in week 1 and 2 maybe. But I think they want to shorten that thing up at the receiver position. So we'll see what happens, man. At the end of the day, Cam Sims, wherever he is, X, Z, slot, he showed us last year that he can play ball. And that's all that matters. Thank you for the super chat, Trevor Patch, and being a member of the MOBB. Greatly appreciate you. Carlton Bagano Jackson, my guy CPJ, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy CPJ writes, oh, I just got off in time to catch you. It's going to be a good evening. Thanks, Lou. No, thank you for tuning in and supporting the Louie T Network. If you haven't already done so, please do me a huge solid. Hit the subscribe button for more great content. Turn on your notification bell so you don't miss a thing. And also be sure to hit the like button. There are over 320 of you out there, only 89 likes. Come on, guys. We're better than that. Got to get that thing up over 100. And let's push for $150. I mean, we should be approaching 50% in terms of the like percentage. We're not even close. So let's try to make that happen. But I appreciate you, CPJ, and thank you for being a member of the MOBB. Got another one here from Metaphor. Double up. Thank you for doubling it up, Metaphor. Greatly appreciate you. My guy, Metaphor, writes, Week 1 prediction. Chase, Montez, Jamin with sacks. WJ3 with the pick. Herbert cries on trip back home. I don't see Justin Herbert crying over a week 1 loss. Even if he feels like he's at fault for the loss, it's week 1. But I could see a situation where we get after him and all of the guys you named. Remember, last year we had 8 sacks in week 1 against the Eagles. Now, Carson Wentz, not as mobile as Justin Herbert. And Wentz has this duck down move where when he sees pressure, instead of him running, he ducks and tries to duck under it. And that's how we got about 3 or 4 sacks on him last year. Justin Herbert's just the athlete. So he's just going to run away from guys. So if we want him, we're going to have to go get him, or we're going to have to bottle him up in the pocket and not let him get out of the pocket. If we lose contain, he'll run for 15 on 3rd and 12. Like, you can't. Remember, we had issues with Russell Wilson last year, escaping the pocket, not holding down contain. We run a stunt to the inside. There's nobody outside, and Russell Wilson ran for like 36 right before halftime, right on that touchdown drive right before the half. We have to make sure we keep contained. This is one of those guys that is an athlete and will hurt you with his legs if you don't keep contained. We have to make sure we are disciplined. And this is something we'll talk about later in the week when we get behind, enemy lines and we start to really get into the finite details of what it's going to take to get the win. We'll do that later on in the week, but I could see us having more than just 3 sacks, and you might have had Chase with 2 sacks or Montez with 2 sacks. And I think I could see us with 4 or 5 sacks in this game, to be honest with you. We'll see what happens. It is imperative that we get pressure, though. Even if they don't lead to sacks, we must make him uncomfortable. It'd be great to see WJ3 with a pick. There's been a lot of scrutiny coming his way. I thought, unjustly, for a guy that is, barely played in the preseason. A lot of people are worried about what they're hearing. Oh my God, he's struggling in camp. He's not picking up the system. I'm like, what are you guys talking about? You haven't even seen this guy play, really. What are you talking about? People are worried about what exactly? I'd love for him to get a pick week 1 to kind of quell that a bit, because if he struggles week 1, you're going to have a lot of people that kind of, quieted a bit over the last couple of weeks that were really loud, 2-3 weeks ago. Man, should I be worried about William Jackson III? Those people will come out of the woodworks. So I'd really like him to keep them nice and quiet. Doesn't even need to be a pick. He just needs to keep things nice and clean and tidy on his side of the field. If he's able to do that, I'll feel good about that. But at the end of the day, it'd be nice to see him get a pick. I talked about one of the things that we didn't do enough of last year was create turnovers, especially early in the season, after the Eagles game, that is. We need to create more turnover opportunities and take advantage of them. So it'd be nice to do what we did last year, week 1, which was create some turnovers, get to the quarterback, sack him and create turnovers. And I'd love to not fall behind 17-0. Like, I'm not interested in spotting anybody a 17-point lead this year. I'd love to not do that. We were the kings of spotting teams 17 and 20-point leads before trying to hawk them down. Sometimes successfully, most times unsuccessfully. Let's not do that this year. Let's not get off to a slow start and look up and it be 17-0 early stages of the second quarter, because this ain't the type of team that you're just going to run off 27 unanswered against. So I'd like us to stay away from that like we had last year. It was a problem in week 1, and it was a problem throughout the season where we fell behind, made halftime adjustments, and then came out like game busters, but too little, too late. So thank you for the super chat. Metaphor. Fat American, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. And thank you for being a member of the MOBB. My guy, Fat American, writes, Lou, that hat is clean as F. I'm going to get one now. Dope. I love it. I love it. Want more of it, man. Like I said, I try to do what I can to, set a couple of fashion trends, you know what I mean? Try to put y'all on to some game. And so I'm glad y'all feeling the hat and go out there and the way I look at it. Remember, I said I wasn't buying any more merch until they got rid of Bruce Allen and I saw change. Bruce Allen was the reason I wasn't going to invest any more in this team. I needed to see him gone. He was gone. Ron came in, changed how things were being done. I saw the change I needed to see. I said, all right, I'm back on board in terms of, purchasing merch and putting money in Daniel Snyder's pocket. I also look at these hats as like memorabilia that down the road could be worth something, not like selling wise, like a dope throwback item. Like, remember that time for a 2-year period, we would have watched the football team, 20 years from now, we can talk about that. Remember when we were the Washington football team for a couple of years? And I still got hats, and shirts and things like that from that period. That's going to be pretty cool. So, yeah. Anyway, I appreciate that. Go get one. Yeah, this hat is dope. That's why I copped it. Thank you for the super chat, Fat American. Got a super chat here from Ishmael Benitez. Thank you for the super chat, Ishmael Benitez. Greatly appreciate you. My guy, IB, writes, what up, bro? What up, Ishmael? He says, really looking forward to see what this offense looks like. I know the defense going to ball, but hopefully we get complimentary football. That's always the goal, is complimentary football. We used to talk about that all the time. Complimentary football, especially when Ron first got here. All 3 phases: special teams, offense, defense. If the offense is struggling, which it did quite a bit last year, then the defense needs to pick them up. And when we get in the scoring range, if we can't put it in the end zone, need Dustin Hopkins to come on the field and put it through the uprights. You know, if the offense can't get it going, then we need Tressway to pin the other team's offense inside their own 10-yard line, and the defense needs to get a stop to create a short field for the offense to help them out. Play complementary football. And that's what we're looking for. You know, that's what we're looking for. It'll be nice to see if we can get that complementary football. At the end of the day, I just want to see execution from all three phases. And it'd be great if they worked in unison with one another. But at the end of the day, the biggest thing is you want to see all three phases doing the things that we know they're capable of doing. And if that takes place, how can you not feel really good about our chances against the Chargers? Because I honestly think we're a better team than them, but that doesn't matter if we don't go out and execute. How many times have we felt like we've been the better team when we play the Giants, but for some reason we forget how to play football? Speaking of the Giants, I got 2 tickets to give away to that game. So if you're a Mob Squad member, we got to figure out when is a great day to do that. I'm thinking Monday. I want to give you enough time. It's a Thursday game. I want to give someone preparation. Maybe I need to do it earlier. You guys give me some ideas as to when is a good time to do that giveaway. Maybe it needs to be this week, you know. So you guys give me some ideas. Give me some ideas as to when that giveaway should take place, and I'll give you instructions on you know how to get this done. Anyway, I'm with you, Ishmael. We need to play complementary football. I think the defense, I don't know this defense is going to be dominant. I think this defense is going to be really good. I don't know that for a fact. We don't know until we see. That was last year. Last year is last year. This year is this year. You know, the only thing we can say is that we've made improvements to both sides of the ball, but we don't know for, you know, sure. We can't definitively say one way or the other it's going to be good or bad. So you can only hope. Let's see what happens. Thank you for the super chat, Ishmael Benitez. John Perez, my guy JP, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you, my guy JP. Writes, I'll be at the game, and I can't say enough how excited I am. I'll bring back a dub, some pictures, a souvenir, maybe a selfie with Chase. All sounds good to me. The most important part is the dub. I need you to bring back the dub. You can have a blast, and if we lose, that's going to put a damper on the mission, okay? The mission is simple. Go in, come back with a dub. And hopefully you have a great time. You get the full experience, and you get to see the fellas do some good things, and you get to come back with great fond memories of how Washington got it done in week 1 when you were in the building. So you know what it is. It's simple, man. In and out mission. Go get the dub and come back. Looking forward to hearing how the experience was for you and your wife and or fiance, and looking forward to hearing how the experience was. So thank you for that, JP. Greatly appreciate you. Got a super chat here from Daniel Morgan. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you, my guy Daniel Morgan writes, what up, Lou? What up, Daniel? He says, I'm worried this Samuel injury is going to last all year. Looks like Terry will be seeing a lot of double teams again. Maybe he won't. This is the thing. Unlike last year, where Terry didn't have help, you know, Cam Sims was pretty much it. Logan Thomas was cool, but nobody's afraid of Logan Thomas. Terry's going to have other guys that can get open and do damage. You know, Adam Humphries can do damage. De'Ami Brown can do damage. You know, they're going to have other targets to get the football to. And unlike last year where everything Logan Thomas pretty much did was underneath, you know, Logan Thomas had like 60 some odd catches, and it was only for 670 yards. So while Logan Thomas was impressive last year, it far exceeded any of our expectations, and I can't speak for you. He far exceeded my expectations. He wasn't a chunk gainer out there. He wasn't getting a 28-yard seam ball. You know, he had the big catch against the Steelers down the field. That might have been his longest catch of the season. He had a catch and run against Dallas right before half for a touchdown. But that was a short pass that he broke a tackle and ended up getting into the end zone on. There weren't many, big catches from Logan Thomas down the field. He may be able to do that this year. He may be able to be more of a vertical threat because Terry taking attention, because Diami doing some things and stretching the field, because you've got guys like Adam Humphries, potentially DeAndre Carter and Dax Milne working the inside. Whether Curtis Samuel is healthy or not, we've got more weaponry than we ever had at any point last season. There are no more Isaiah Wrights trying to find a way to get us a first down. There are no more Steven Sims Jr.'s out there and dropping passes and not making plays. We're so much better than we were a year ago. It's not even funny. So I'm not worried about Terry having to eat doubles. If they want to double Terry, they can go right ahead. We got other guys that can hurt him, unlike last year where there were no other threats out on the football field. You want to give Diami one-on-one? Cool. We'll take it. You want to give Adam Humphries one-on-one with your linebacker or your nickel corner? And they got a hell of a nickel corner over there. All right. Cool. We'll take it. I like my chances. But the minute you give Terry one-on-one, we're going to work you. And we'll see what happens. I'm not afraid. I like where we sit right now. Thank you for the super chat, Daniel Morgan. Got a brand new member of the MOBB, Antoine Newman. Stand up, Antoine. You officially in the building as a brand new member of the MOBB mob. You know what to do. Show the man some love. Twan is in the building as a gold member. Antoine Newman, thank you for your membership. Welcome to the Mob Squad as a gold member. My guy, Antoine, welcome aboard. Antoine Newman. Jules, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. And I'm going to go ahead and read this one, Jules. All right. Because I think you meant to connect these two. Really appreciate you, Jules, for the super chat. Jules writes, love your channel, man. Keep it up. Really appreciate you. Thank you for the support. Thank you for, I can't stress this enough. There's a lot that you guys pour into the Louie T Network. A lot of man hours. Okay. This thing doesn't happen on its own. The content is here, but it doesn't mean anything if you're not consuming it. So thank you, Jules, not only for the super chat and the support, but the viewership, the continued support, the liking of the videos, the comments, all of it. Thank you. And all of you out there for that. Greatly appreciate you, Jules. Thank you once again. Valmont Smart. Double up. Thank you for doubling up, Valmont Smart. And thank you for being a member of the MOBB. Who writes, Gibby goes over 100. Logan with 2 touchdowns in this upcoming game. So Gibby over 100 would be huge, because what that would in effect do is open up the pass game. And it could be the other way around. I told you last year we were more of a team that passed to set up the run, spread teams out, and then ran Gibby. It could be a situation where we get on them early and then we use Gibby to grind them to a halt, shorten the game, and get out of there with a victory. Or it could be Gibby could pop a big one, could, be getting, steady gains, 2, 3, 4, 4, 1, 6, 1, 1, 8, 9, and then boom, hit him for a 59-yard touchdown run. And boom, that's your 100 right there. Or it could just be a steady diet of 5, 4s, 3, 3, 4, 2, 2, 6, 2, 9, 6, 1, 1, 8, 1, 5, 5, 5, 4. It could be a steady diet of that. I'll take that as well. Either way, if Gibby goes over 100, however he does it, whether it's a big run that sets up a score or is in fact a score, or it's just a continued churning of the football and moving the sticks, that's going to be a great sign for us, whether we're winning or he does that damage early and it helps set up play action fake and some opportunities to push the football down the field. So 100 yards for Gibby would be huge in the ball game. Logan Thomas with 2 touchdowns. I don't really care who gets them, but we all think that Logan Thomas is going to have a big year from a touchdown standpoint because Ryan Fitzpatrick loves to throw to taller targets, and he loves to throw the football up to big guys and give them opportunities. That's why you saw an uptick in Mike Gesicki's targets, catches, and touchdowns last season, is because Ryan Fitzpatrick will give tight ends and big time receivers opportunities to make plays. And I think a lot of us feel like Logan Thomas is going to be one of the biggest beneficiaries this year of Ryan Fitzpatrick's slinger mentality. So I could see Logan having 2 touchdowns in week 1. I think he had a touchdown, if I'm not mistaken, last year in week 1. Dwayne's first touchdown pass of the season, I want to say, was to Logan Thomas, wide open in the left corner of the end zone on a 3rd down, no less. So it'd be great to see both of those things come to fruition. Thank you for the super chat, Valmont Smart. King of the North, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you, my guy, King of the North. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB. Stand up. We in the building. King of the North writes, season is here. LA's coach is a defensive genius, but I think there's enough collective wisdom between Ron, Del Rio, and Fitzy to give us the dub. Yeah, Brandon Staley is known for his defensive prowess. That's how he got the job. The Rams were the #1 defense in the league last year, and it was not close. Now, the Rams also had Jalen Ramsey, and I don't know if you ever heard of this guy, but a player named Aaron Donald. Never, ever trust a man with 2 first names. He didn't have that in Los Angeles with the Chargers, but what he does have is a collection of very fast, physical, and talented defenders. They've been amassing talented players for the last 3 or 4 years. They've been hurt. They're all healthy now, and they can run on defense, man. If we don't do a great job up front of blocking Bosa and company, they got some linebackers that can flat out run. Kenneth Murray, who they drafted in the 1st round out of Oklahoma, can flat out run. Former Golden Domer Drew Tranquil can flat out fly. You got Derwin James back there on the back end. They got Uchenna Nwosu. They got a talented front, man. Their front 7 is as dangerous as you will find because they just got athletes everywhere. So this is a group that I don't think a lot of you know what they've been building out there, but they're finally healthy. It's going to be interesting. Their corners don't blow me away, but man, oh man, do they have some talent on that defense, and they're dangerous. I'm just going to say that. We got to be on our P's and Q's, Y's and Z's, and if we're not, it could be a long day at the office. You thought that the preseason was rough and not being able to score touchdowns, and you thought that second preseason game, what was it? The 3rd preseason game, with Kyle Allen was rough, and you thought the second preseason game, against Cincinnati, where we weren't really putting up any points, was rough. Shit could get real ugly quick against this Chargers defense, man. They got a talented group over there. So, and with, like you said, with Brandon Staley being a defensive-minded guy, it's going to be interesting to see how we try to pick apart their defense, how we try to get into an offensive rhythm against them and keep them off balance and on their toes. So we can't let them dictate to us what's going to be done. And again, we'll talk about all those things when we go behind enemy lines and we start talking about what it's going to take to get a dub up off these Chargers in week number 1. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Stephen Grinkley, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy, Stephen Grinkley, writes, hey, Louie. What's up, Stephen? He says, just getting here. Not sure if you already addressed this, but do you think De'Ami Brown can come in and make an immediate impact this week? Absolutely, I think he can. Now, to what extent is the question? I just always, when you talk about a guy with speed, week 1, you always want to see that speed unleashed right out of the gate. I think about all of the big-time speed guys that have come into the league And that first game, that first taste of what we saw from that guy was them getting behind the secondary and torching them, because these NFL dudes don't know. You'd be surprised at how little they actually know about their upcoming opponent if there is no film on this guy. They don't know about De'Ami Brown. They might have seen a couple clips from, the preseason, but they don't really know about De'Ami Brown. They know about the guys in the league. They don't know about rookies coming into the league. So I think about Terry's first game against the Eagles, 3 years ago, and how he came out of the gate. Boom, 80-yard touchdown, and had another opportunity, first possession of the second half to do it again. And Case Keenum overthrew him by 3-4 yards. I think about Justin Jefferson last year, is coming out of nowhere. Deep ball after deep ball after deep ball. They didn't know if he could run or not. That was the knock on him. Oh, he's not really that fast. Okay, well, he's just blowing by dudes. I think about Odell Beckham's introduction to the rest of the league, missed the first 2-3 games of the season, and then came out of nowhere like gangbusters and had like 93 catches and 1,100 and something yards in his rookie season, just like that. You know what I mean? And just deep ball after deep ball after deep ball. And I just think when guys have this kind of speed, you can catch a defense slipping. All right. They sleep. Don't tell them nothing. Don't wake them up. Let De'Ami wake them up. And I think that he can have an impact. I'm not saying he's going to go out here and have 7 catches for 184 yards and a touchdown in his debut. That's not the kind of impact I'm imagining in my head. I'm thinking he might have 3 catches, but one of them is for 62 yards. Not necessarily a touchdown, but it's for 62 yards. And, he's got 3 catches for 98. And even if one of them isn't a touchdown, that's an impactful debut. Got over the top, stretched the defense, put some of that on film. Now they got to respect him. Now that opens up the underneath stuff. So that's what I'm kind of imagining. But if we get anything more out of him, we may need a little bit more with no, Curtis Samuel. But anything else out of him, would be great. But I just envision them taking at least 1 or 2 shots to him during the course of this game. And Fitz ain't scared. If he gets one-on-one with De'Ami, he's gonna let it go. So thank you for the super chat, Stephen Grinkley. Got another super chat. This one is from Jason Fios. Thank you for the super chat, Jason. Greatly appreciate you. And thank you for being a member of the Mob Squad. My guy Jason writes, what up, Lou? What up, Jason? He says, if Samuel doesn't play Sunday, likelihood he plays against the Giants. Same question about Barkley. So the word out on the street is Saquon Barkley is going to play in week 1 versus the Denver Broncos. Now, to what extent? I'm hearing that it's going to be on a limited basis, similar to what we thought we were going to get out of Curtis Samuel. Barkley is going to play and be on a pitch count. Now, if he plays in week 1, he's playing in week 2, obviously. If there's no setback, he'll be out there for week 2. If he doesn't play week 1, there's a chance that he doesn't play week 2, but I don't see any way possible we don't get some Saquon Barkley in week 2. Now, I would prefer him to be on a pitch count in week 2 against us, meaning that he's not going to touch it 30 times against us. But because at any moment, with him, we had a leaky run defense last year. I can't tell you that that's fixed right now. Can't say that that's fixed, that we've remedied that. So last year, if Alfred Morris hit a seam, okay, it's Alfred Morris. Somebody's going to catch him. If Devontae Freeman had a little bit of a gap, okay, it's Devontae Freeman. He's not going to take it to the house. Wayne Gallman, same thing. We didn't have to worry about that with the Giants last year. If one of their running backs got loose, he wasn't taking it to the crib for 90. If Saquon Barkley hits the seam, we might not catch him. And that's scary. And he also can catch the football. If we try to isolate him one-on-one out of the backfield with John Bostic, that could get ugly real quick. And we've been known to do stupid shit like that in the past. So he's going to play, I think. I was so happy when I heard, earlier in the summer, hey, they're targeting week 3 for him. Once he started having full practices and You know, he had a padded practice the other day. He's on track to play week 1. He's going to play in week 2 more likely than not. So it is what it is. As far as Curtis Samuel is concerned, I don't think he plays this week. And if he doesn't play this week, the likelihood is with the quick turnaround, he's not going to play in week 2 either. And I've already stated that. But I don't know that for certain. I told you we're going to find out a lot tomorrow. Ron would have gotten a report from Ryan Vermillion as to what the deal is with Curtis Samuel. To what extent did he either re-aggravate it, or was it just a minor, situation where he felt some some discomfort and just wanted to shut it down, but he's fine. We're going to find out to what extent Curtis Samuel is banged up. And if he doesn't practice, more likely than not, he won't play. And we'll get an update. We'll have a sense. Ron's going to try to probably keep it close to the vest, not want to give us too much, but actions speak louder than words. And if he doesn't practice, then that tells me all I need to know. Even if he's just out there riding a bike and he's a part of the Washington football team or the Ashburn, bike team, that would tell me that it's not that bad if he's out there riding a bike or getting some work on the side field. If he's not out there at all, he ain't playing, period. So we'll see. Thank you for the super chat, Jason Fios. Metaphor, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy, Metaphor, writes, giveaway at halftime show of the Chargers game in the MOBB. Not bad. That's not a bad idea, but the only problem with that is not everybody's going to be there. But I would like to think that most would be there for the game, right? So that might not be the worst idea. Worst case scenario, I could do it on the overtime show post game after the game has met its conclusion and we're chopping it up and breaking it down. So yeah, we'll do one of those two things. But to make it easy, I need comments. So I need it to be in a previous video already. So I'll have to do something about that. So you know what it'll be is after we shut that thing down, I'll probably need everybody to make a comment. I'll figure it out. No worries. That's not a bad idea though, Metaphor. Thank you for the super chat. Condoleezza Perry, my girl Condo P, thank you for the super chat and for, of course, being a beloved member of the MOBB. Condo P writes, sure hope the young receivers, Milne, AGG, and Brown are ready to contribute to the offense early on. Hashtag knock on wood. Hashtag go ahead and get a piece of that wood action. Hashtag 757. If you from the 757, you know what it is. AGG, I don't think they pull up, because of the injury. Maybe they do pull up a 7th receiver. I think they just roll with the 6 dudes they have. I've already said I would pull up another safety if I were Washington. Or you could go with an extra tight end and have Sammy Reyes be active on game day instead. But to me, if there is no Curtis Samuel and you want to replace him on the active roster, on game day, I think you go to the defensive side of the football and bring up a guy like Jeremy Reeves. I don't think you necessarily need to bring up an AGG. That's my personal opinion. I don't think you need, AGG. What purpose does he, serve? Being active. You got other guys that you trust that you want out there before him, but you never know. That you might feel like, okay, without, Curtis Samuel, we need another receiver, and why not have another big body guy? Because if something were to happen to Cam Sims, I'm knocking a little bit more of that wood. You want a guy that can kind of give you that same size out there. So the young guys got to be ready. That is for sure. I already said this though, and I'm going to stick to this. I don't want to put pressure on the young fellas to have to come out there, and we need their contributions. I don't want to need them. I want them. I don't want us to have to need them. That's where we were last year. This is the reason you have depth, so that you don't have to need young guys to come in and perform. You want the young guys to help when necessary, when you call their number, but you don't have to get that production from them to survive. If you do, you're in trouble. You're in trouble. And that's where we were last year. We needed AGG's production. We didn't get it. Our offense was stagnant. We were counting on, you know, the Dontrell Inmans and the Isaiah Wrights of the world last year. Like, that's no way to live. You got an undrafted guy in Isaiah Wright coming in, and we need his production. AGG, 4th round, we need his production. That's no way to live. I don't want to need anything from Dax Milne. I don't want to need anything from Dyami Brown right now. I want those guys to contribute. I don't want us to need them to contribute. And I think we have enough depth. This is what we've talked about. We've been using the D word a bunch. Depth. This is why we got all that depth. This is why you need that depth. This is when it's tested. This is when you find out. Did the work we've done in the offseason, did we do well? Is it going to pay off? I think this is when you start to find that out. So I'm looking forward to seeing what Dyami Brown brings to the table. Same with Dax Milne if he gets an opportunity. Same with AGG if he gets an opportunity. But at the end of the day, I'm cool with just a 4-man rotation at this point of Dyami Brown, Adam Humphries, Terry McLaurin, and Cam Sims. I'm cool with that. And if you want to sprinkle in just a tad bit of DeAndre Carter, knock yourself out. Like, I don't need to see Dax Milne right now. If they want to put him in there, I'm not against it. Okay? That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying if they decided to tighten the rotation and say, we're just going to roll with these 4 dudes. And remember, it's not often that we put 4 receivers on the field at the same time. You know, you're going to see a lot of formations. We stay in 11 personnel, which means you got 3 receivers on the field. 1 back, 1 tight end, 3 wide receivers. We stay in that formation. And, you know, they love the backs. And you're going to get some 21 personnel, you know, meaning you got 2 backs, 1 tight end, and 2 receivers on the field. And they also like their tight ends. So they're going to be opportunities for 12 personnel, 1 back, 2 tight ends, 2 wide receivers. Those are the formations you generally get. You know, it's rare that you're going to get 4 receivers, 1 tight end, no back. We always have a back on the field. Even if that guy is split out and the set is empty, we always got a back on the field because our backs are so versatile that there's never a reason to not have them on the field. So I don't think we need to go any, you know, deeper than 4 receivers, honestly. You know, if you want to give, again, I think you may see them go 5, 6 deep and empty the cupboard at receiver in the first couple of weeks just because guys are getting back into game shape. You can't replicate a game in practice, and we didn't play our players for long enough in the preseason. So you're going to get out there, you're going to run around, and guys are going to get tired, and you got to get other guys in there. But when it comes down to it, when it's winning time, when plays have to be made, I really only want them going to 4 dudes at the receiver position, you know, 1 or 2 dudes at the tight end position, and both of the backs, JD and Antonio Gibson. So I think you can shrink the rotation at receiver down to 4, honestly. We'll see what they decide to do. Thank you for becoming a member of the Mob Squad, Jason Fios. As a matter of fact, thank you for upgrading your membership from bronze to silver. Y'all already knew Jason. He was already a part of the mob, but stand up. The man is officially a silver member now of the Mob Squad. Thank you for that, Jason Fios. Greatly appreciate you. Got another one here from King of the North. Double up. Thank you for doubling up, King of the North. Greatly appreciate you. King of the North writes, Joey Bosa, week 1 is a hell of a way to break in Cosme. Chargers right tackle is questionable. Be nice to have Sweat lining up versus a backup. Brian Balaga is going to play. Right now, he has a groin injury, but we took a look at the injury report already. He was a full participant with the groin injury. Now, again, as Ron always likes to say, let's see how they feel tomorrow. So we can see the injury report tomorrow. He could be limited. But he was a full participant today. If he's a full participant tomorrow, the assumption is he's a full go for Sunday. I'll take any help I can get, any breaks that come our way. I'm not turning them down, but I'm not looking for any shortcuts. If Brian Balaga is healthy, put his ass out there. I still think we can beat them with our guys. Brian Balaga on one side, Rashawn Slater on the other side. I still think we can beat them with our guys. I just got confidence in Montez and Chase off the edge. So I don't really care who's out there. I'm looking forward to those guys having a chance. And I've already talked about our interior guys having a chance to eat as well. I'm excited. It feels so good to be talking about a real game in 4 days. You know, we got all excited about the preseason, that first preseason game. We were stoked. I told you, I was tripping, right? I don't have to feel that way in 4 days. It's legit. I'm not going to watch the starters for a couple of possessions and be looking over my shoulder to see when they're coming out. No, this thing's for real. Somebody's getting one in the right-hand column, and somebody's getting one in the left after this thing is done. I'm excited, man. I'm amped. Bart Scott. Can't wait. Thank you for the super chat. King of the North. And let me go back to that real quick. Joey Bosa is a hell of a way to break in Sam Cosmi week 1. I don't want to gloss over that. That's a big effing deal, okay? Because I'm still not sure that Samuel Cosmi is ready for a technician like Joey Bosa. So I'm nervous about that. I think they've got to be responsible and give him a little bit of help. They can't leave that guy on an island week 1 against Joey Bosa. He's a man, grown-ass man. And I told you, coming out of Ohio State, he had the best hands I've ever seen in my life in terms of the technical ability to just win off of pure black belt hand usage. Dude is an animal. So I don't want him over there fending for himself. You want to get Ryan Fitzpatrick killed. You want to have plays blown up. You want fumbles to be forced. Leave him by himself. I think they need to make sure Sam Cosmi is taken care of. If that means before Logan goes out for a pass, he's got to get into Joey Bosa's ribs, so be it. If that means you got to keep that running back in there for an extra tick just to make sure Sam's good, so be it. On your way out, get a piece. Don't be afraid. On the way out, get a piece. All right? And then go get into your route. But I don't think it's smart to leave 76 on that island by himself against 97. That shit could get ugly really fast. So, and not to say that I don't have confidence in Sam Cosmi, but as you mentioned, that's a hell of a way to get broken in week 1, man. Same thing I feel for Rashawn Slater. You know, they got a rookie left tackle. And everybody's, he got Chase Young before, he can get him again. Okay, we're going to see. It's a hell of a way to make your living. Week 1 against Montez Sweat and Chase Young. So we're going to see. Thank you for the super chat, King of the North. Richie Rich, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy, Richie. My guy, Richie. I do that every time you give me a super chat. I always read it backwards because that's how it usually goes. Richie, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy, Richie writes, I'm going to need a double O on that Is You're Talking T. What did I do? What did I say? All right. He says, I'm coming for that chip, and I'm not talking about the one on your shoulder. I want the one around your waist. I need it signed and shipped. He said, second looking on you. Oh, okay. I got you. You're talking about winners and losers. If you in it to win it, come and get it. Like I said, you know where to find me. I want all the smoke, but I don't choke off the smoke. All right. I'm comfortable, man. I'll pull down the gas mask and I'll sit right there nice and comfy amongst the smoke. I told you, I heat things up. And a lot of times, y'all ain't able to take it. So you know what it is. And if you win, the chip is yours. I already told you. I'm defending the crown. I'm defending what's rightfully mine. But if somebody, to beat a man, you got to beat the man. And if somebody beats me, you get the chip. Not only do you get the bread, you get the chip as well. And the dip. So I'm here, Rich. You know where to find me, man. But I'm going to just tell you like this. A wise, and I say this all the time because, you know, rest in peace, man. Rest in paradise. But a wise man once said, you come for the king, you best not miss. You only get one chance. You better take advantage of it. Because I'm looking to get off to a fast start. And I usually don't look back. Once I take off, I'm gone. So we'll see, Rich. But for those of you unaware, LouieTeeNetwork exclusive still available. One more day left. The festivities come to a close. Now, the weekly pick'em pool is every single week. So there's no cap on that. You know, obviously, you shut down for the week on Thursday, and those picks are in, and that sheet is closed. But next week, we open it back up. We do it all over again. But the Winners and Losers League is a season-long pool, or league, I should say. So you got to get in by Thursday or that's closed. Same with the Soul Survivor pool. That is closed after Thursday night as well. So if you want in, there's still time. Links are down in the description of this video. Thank you for the super chat. Richie. Derek B. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy, Derek B. writes, draft/free agency equals no luck at receiver 4 years. Terry equals unicorn for the Dubs. Yeah, I mean, you could say that. We can't say that, though, definitively because we got 2 more new receivers this year. But yeah, I mean, that's what it's been pretty much for us. We haven't had a lot of success in free agency. We haven't had a lot of success in the draft, minus Terry, obviously. So yeah, that's pretty accurate. But we got 2 new dudes up, De'Ami Brown and Dax Milne, that I'm excited about. A lot of you are excited about them as well. I haven't given up on AGG. I know most of you have. I have not. So he's still a work in progress. You know, it's only year 2. I told you I don't think he's a dog, but that doesn't mean he can't contribute. And, you know, maybe he might develop a mean streak in there somewhere. But I don't think that's who he is. It doesn't matter. He can still help if he gets an opportunity. You know, I didn't think much of Cam Sims. Remember, I used to talk shit about Cam Sims. I wasn't the biggest Cam Sims fan the first 2 years he was here. You know, last year, he had to sell me. I wasn't sold on Cam Sims. A lot of people kept telling me, Cam Sims is the man. We got to give him a chance, this, that, and the third. I was like, man. And I used to swat it away every single time, dismissing, man, get that Cam Sims shit out of my face, man. I ain't trying to hear that. That man been here for 3 years, ain't done a damn thing. And then last year, he stepped up. That third year was a charm, you know? So same thing could be said for maybe AGG. You know, this year he may be able to step up, make a couple of plays. Maybe it's next year for him if he's around. So I haven't given up on him. And we don't know what Adam Humphries is going to do. You can't rule out Curtis Samuel. You can't just dismiss him now because he's hurt right now. He may be back 2, 3, 4 weeks down the road and have a massive impact on this team. But the success, the hit rate hasn't been great yet. But this is a new staff. This is a new regime. And we don't know yet. The jury's still out on Martin Mayhew and Marty Herney and those guys and what they've been able to do. The jury's still out because AGG's not on their record. That's not charged to their account. That's on Ron's account. He was here, but that's not on Martin Mayhew or Marty Herney's account. So I'm gonna give those guys an opportunity to, charge these to their accounts, and then we'll see what happens. Thank you for the super chat, Derek B. Got another super chat from Metaphor. Greatly appreciate you. My guy, Metaphor, writes, I say use JP as the Curtis role behind the line until he's back. Nah, I mean, because he's a running back. Like, there's really no, there's really no extra benefit to putting a running back at running back. Like, they're going to play us normal when you put a running back on the field at running back. The reason Curtis gives us a different dimension is when they usually defenses put their package together and what formation they're going to line up in and what package they're going to put on the field based off of what alignment the offense comes into the huddle with, which is why it's so important to report to the officials. And that's why you can't have too many guys in a huddle, because the defense needs to see what you're doing so they can then adjust accordingly. So if they don't see a running back in the huddle and Curtis Samuel's on the field, and then he lines up in the backfield, they might come out with 7 DBs on the field. Oh, they don't have any running backs on the field. They got 1 tight end, so we're going to put 6 DBs on the field. 1 linebacker and 4 down linemen. And now all of a sudden, Curtis Samuel takes a handoff, and we got him spread out. And it's an 18-yard gain because they thought we were going to throw the football. If you put Jaret Patterson on the field, he's a running back. So it's not going to have the same effect, if you get what I'm trying to convey to you. You can kind of paint that picture in your mind. Anyway, I digress. Thank you for the super chat, Metaphor. Jason Fios, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Double up. Thank you for doubling up, Jason Fios, and for becoming a brand new member of the MOBB. My guy Jason writes, upping your membership to silver with the MOBB. My guy Jason writes, one time, I hope you're not right about missing Barber. I don't want to be right here. I've already said, I hope I am wrong about Peyton Barber and us not being able to fill that void. We need Gibby to step up in that role. We need Antonio Gibson to be able to get the short yardage situations. Like, you don't want to have to like last year, they didn't want to put too much on his plate, and they had the luxury of putting Peyton Barber out there, and he was a hammer for us. But you really would like to have your back do it all. Like the Vikings aren't taking Dalvin Cook off the field in 3rd and 1 situations to put in, another back. That's not what they're doing. He can handle everything. That's what you want in your running back. You want him to be able to handle, 1st and 10, 2nd and 6, 3rd and 1, and 4th and 1, all the same. So I want to be wrong. I want us to be successful in short yardage situations and not worry about Peyton Barber not being here. I don't think that's going to be the case, but I want to be wrong. And I'm counting on Gibby to get it done. He knows what he has to do. He talked about it today. I'm looking forward to him getting it done. Thank you for the super chat, Jason Fios. Johnny Boy 26. Double up. Thank you for the super chat and doubling up. And also thank you for getting the night kicked off with the super chat. My guy, Johnny Boy 26 writes, thoughts on the Notre Dame quarterback? He's legit. Look, it was one game. Jack Cohen looked really good. We got him from Wisconsin. He's a transfer. He never looked that good at Wisconsin. So I'm not sold yet. But I can tell you this much. The offense hasn't looked that dynamic from a passing standpoint in quite a while. I mean, Ian Book set all kinds of records at Notre Dame, and I never thought the offense looked that dynamic from a passing standpoint like it did against Florida State. Now, again, a lot of things to take into consideration. One, Florida State stinks. That's the perception. They actually could be much improved. You got a brand new coach, different way of doing things. They may actually be better and not stink, but the perception is they stink. And I need to see Jack Cohen do it again and again and again. I'm not sold yet. He's got to sell me. I'm not sold. Thank you for the super chat, Johnny Boy. Metaphor, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy, Metaphor, writes, obviously your queen making those game picks after Cam getting cut prediction. Maybe she needs to. But she doesn't know more than me. But she knows how the Patriots operate. That's one thing she does know. And she could see that one coming a mile away. And I just didn't think they would go to that extreme. But I should know better too. It's the Patriots. I should have known better. And after the whole fiasco with the COVID-19 testing and him botching that, and even though it only cost him a day, they just said, why is he here? We got a guy that we drafted, that we like, that we think is ready. Why is he here? We don't want our guy looking over his shoulder. She called it, but leave the picking to me. I think she would agree with that assessment as well. Leave the picks to the king. All right. If that's the queen, and she is, leave the picks to the king. I got it. Thank you for the super chat. Metaphor. Great. Thank you for your membership and becoming a member of the MOBB. Great. Stand up. You are officially in the building as a member of the squad. Mom, you know what to do. Show the great some love. Welcome him with open arms. Thank you for your membership and becoming a gold member of the MOBB. The great. Thank you for your membership. Chauncey Davis, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for your membership. Chauncey Davis, greatly appreciate you. My guy Chauncey writes, Lou, Chauncey, Corey Linsley, that's a free agent acquisition from the Green Bay Packers at center. Better have his hard hat on because Daron Payne will be on a mission, contract year. So Corey Linsley is one of the better centers in football, which is why they went out and paid him good money from the Green Bay Packers. Brian Bulaga, who they brought in from Green Bay as well. I think they signed him last year, if I'm not mistaken, away from the Packers. So 2 former Packers on that offensive line. They got some good players up there. They've spent, resources on that offensive line to revamp it in front of their franchise quarterback. And Daron Payne will definitely be on a mission, but keep in mind, while he is playing for a contract, it's not technically his contract year because Washington has exercised the 5th-year option. So he technically is on the roster next year as well. They've picked up that option already. So while just like Jonathan Allen, who technically, last year was playing for a contract this year, which he just got, but there was still another year on his contract. That's essentially where we are with Daron Payne. He's going to play this year because he wants a contract next offseason, but there's still another year on his contract. So it's not technically his contract year. When you're in a contract year, this is it. You're going to get paid off of what you do this year, because if you don't, you're either going to be allowed to test free agency as an unrestricted free agent, or they're going to have to slap the franchise tag on you. That's when you're in a contract year. That's not where Daron Payne is. After this year, if they still need to see more, they don't have to offer him a deal, and then he'd be going into his contract year next year. But I understand where you're coming from, because if he wants what Jonathan Allen just got, which is an extension before the contract runs out, he's going to need to ball out this year and show them why they spent a first-round pick. And look, we already know Daron Payne's super talented and what this guy brings to the table. So he just needs to continue to do what he's been doing and just continue to get better as a pass rusher. But he's been dominant against the run. We saw flashes of dominance as a rusher at times last year. We need to see it more consistently. That's it. So he definitely is going to have his work cut out for him. All of those interior offensive linemen with Matt Ioannidis being back in the fold, Jonathan Allen got his contract. He's happy, ready to go. And, of course, Deron Payne, as you mentioned, and don't forget Tim Settle. I love our rotation. I love our depth inside, and they're going to have to come with it because we got some guys that can do some damage. So thank you for that super chat, Chauncey Davis. Rob, you, thank you for the super chat. Rob, you, greatly appreciate you, Rob, you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB as well. My guy, Rob, you writes, what up, Lou? What up, Rob, you? He says, much respect for all the hard work, champ. Appreciate you for checking out all the content as well and all the support. He says, going to check out the playback tomorrow. Most definitely. Appreciate you stopping by, blessing the kid, and then getting out of Dodge. And hopefully you enjoy the content tomorrow when you watch the playback. Really appreciate you, Rob, you, for stopping by and blessing the program. Chauncey Davis, double up, thank you for doubling up, Chauncey. Greatly appreciate you. My guy, Chauncey Davis, writes, Lou, Chauncey, this game is tailor-made for Matt Ioannidis, my guy. This is one of those games where he could have an impact because quarterbacks don't like pressure in their face. And Justin Herbert is one of those guys that he wants to escape out of the pocket backwards to then come forward and make a play. It's hard to do that when you get immediate pressure in your face. So I think it is imperative that, again, we keep the integrity of our rush lanes. We don't allow him to escape contain. But I think equally as important is we collapse the pocket. He's a tall kid, so he can see over the line. We don't want him to be able to step up. If we want those edge rushers to hit home, let's not give Justin Herbert anywhere to step up. I think Ioannidis could have and I'm just happy to see 98 back on the field. I missed him so dearly last year, and I thought that there were games last year where his presence or lack thereof was felt. It's just good to see him back on the field, man, and potentially being a terror out there. And just think about what we were able to see from Montez Sweat last year, the growth that we saw from him. Think about what this second-year jump for Chase Young could look like. I mean, that one play against New England has got me excited because I didn't see that move at all one time last year. That latch and snatch was so gorgeous. So my hopes are really high for Chase Young. And just think about what those guys on the edge did last season and what they could do this year. Think about Deron Payne and Jonathan Allen, and now think about what adding in a Matt Ioannidis could potentially do. Like, I'm really excited. I really am. Thank you for the super chat, Chauncey Davis. Got another brand new member of the Mob Squad. Want you guys to show some love to my guy, Johnny Boy 26. Stand up, Johnny Boy 26. You are officially in the building as a member of the Mob Squad. You guys open your arms wide and show some love. Shower this man with love, as Johnny Boy 26 is a brand new member of the MOBB bronze status. Thank you for your membership, Johnny Boy 26. Greatly appreciate you. So with that said, that is the final super chat of the evening. And tomorrow night will be the starting kickoff night of the NFL. Bart Scott, can't wait. MOBB, I may go live for that. You know, we may kick it live. We'll see. Gold members of the Mob, tomorrow we'll be meeting from 7 to 8 for our first installment of what is it called? Yikes. Squad Up. That's what it's called. I forgot that fast. Squad Up. We will have our first installment of Squad Up tomorrow night. So all gold members We'll kick it for an hour. I want your predictions for the season. I'm going to bring a glass of wine. We're going to toast to the season. So I don't care what it is you bring. Again, you don't have to bring an adult beverage. I'm going to bring an adult beverage, but that doesn't mean you have to. Anything but milk is acceptable. Water, soda, juice, straight liquor, whatever your vice is, whatever you choose to indulge in, bring it. And you can come on, chop it up with me. We'll have the link in there. You can come on live and kick it with the kid. And I want to hear from you guys, man. It's going to be a really intimate setting. So looking forward to chopping it up with the gold members for Squad Up tomorrow from 7 to 8 p. I'll send out the link in the community tab. So keep your eyes peeled for that. Whether it's 2 of us, whether it's 5 of us, or 40 of us, whatever the number is, it'll be a good time either way. So with that said, I'm going to go ahead and get out of here, glide to the side, so you guys can enjoy the rest of your evening. Looking forward to chopping it up with you tomorrow night for the Washington Football Nightly program. We will be awaiting the results of practice and the status of Curtis Samuel. I think that will be something we'll be waiting on, and we'll move accordingly. I expect the expectation for me is that he'll be out of practice. He'll be out of this game, and more likely than not, out of the Giants game as well. And we'll have to move forward without him early on in the season. And when he comes back, that'll make us even stronger as an offense. But until then, I am a Washington fan, etched in burgundy and gold. My Washington spirit will never die. Washington spirit will never fold. Until we meet again, hail to our beloved Washington football team. Looking forward to chopping it up with all of you tomorrow. And after that Cowboys game, we'll be here live for Thursday night football overtime. And I know you guys have a vested interest in that game, as it is the dirty, dick, dastardly Dallas Cowboys playing. So hopefully they leave that game at 0-1, and we can get a jump start on them in the division with a loss from them and hopefully a win by us on Sunday. So until next time, you guys have a good one. I'll see you tomorrow.
Here comes the diesel. Here comes the diesel. There's the snap, hand to Riggins. Good hole. He's got the first down to the 40. He's gone. The 35, the 30, the 20.